We're going to begin our first in-person slash virtual users conference in 3 years in just a moment. I did find a gavel up here, so I might get to use it. Chris, if you could turn things on and off properly, please. We have a brief video to begin this event. Here we go. I gotta turn my mic off.
Just a small town duck. She's been working round the clock. She knows that COVID ain't going anywhere. All the practices from Vermont to North Detroit, they know that COVID ain't going anywhere. Patient in an exam room. Is it COVID, strep, or flu? For a swab, you can break the news. It goes on and on and on and on. Patients waiting up and down the parking lot. Parents calling in the night. Lab tests, results, living just to write exams, notes, trying just to submit these claims right.
Working hard to get those shots into arms like it or not. Chip and polish share the data points just one more time. PPE, mask on. I changed the names and broke the forms.
Oh, the journey
Never ends, it goes on and on and on and on. Patience waiting up and down the parking lot. Their parents calling in the night.
lab tests,
Results,
living just to write excuse notes, trying just to submit these claims right. Don't stop believing. Hold on to that feeling. Healing people. Don't stop believing. Hold on to that feeling. Healing people. Don't stop believing. Hold on to that feeling. Healing people. Don't stop.
That is so high. That is, wow.
So if it took us a while to respond to one of your support requests recently, you now know why. There are actually quite a few people involved in both the production and the music. There are a lot of people who are playing in that who you didn't see, because when the request went out, there are like, I don't know, 15, 20 musicians at PCC, and a lot of them played, but of course they didn't send the video. So I only agreed to be in it if they wouldn't play the music part. So anyway, oh wait. Welcome to the 2022 Users Conference. First, so let me begin by saying, before we hit the administrative stuff, I would really like to say welcome. I'd like to say, in a way, welcome home, because it's the last time, or it's the first time rather, we've been together in a while. I find it interesting because I've been to more of these than anyone in the room, except for maybe Lynn. And I recognize most of you, but there are a lot of new faces in here. So please, can you throw a hand up if this is your first time at the Users Conference? Wow. Now, some of that, I was scrolling through the list of people, and some of that is because we have a lot of new clients right now. It's really interesting. All the rumors and stories about why it's not a good time to be an independent pediatrician seem to conflict with our view of the world, but it's also a lot of practices sent new people, which is fantastic. So, how many people have been to, let's say, more than 3 or 4 users conferences? Okay, so everyone look around, see those hands that come up. Yeah, that's in person. I'm not counting the virtual one yet. All right, my point being, those hands that went up, those people have been here before, so you can ask them what you should be doing as well as one of us. All right, which is mostly asking us, when is the next meal? Because that is everything that PCC worries about. So I have a couple minutes for some comments that I'm supposed to make. But before I do have the Wednesday morning announcements. So the first day is the long announcements, because we're introducing the event. So bear with me as I read a little bit. So first of all, if you haven't picked up your UC bag yet, that means we don't know you're here. So please, go to the PCC office, which is just down the hall over at, we labeled them, but no one ever looks at the names. It's at the Carlton Boardroom off the Diamond Foyer. Please come check in. What's for breakfast? I don't need to announce that because you've already had breakfast. We have this long tradition of telling everyone what they're going to be eating next, and if we do, like once or twice I didn't do it, and that's all the only question I got for the next 2 hours. So course surveys. Individual course surveys are available in the UC app, which I'll talk about in a second, and will appear at the end of each course. Challenge codes are listed in the thank you message at the end of each course survey after you submit. If you've been here before, and if you've been to other events like this, you know that we have surveys at the end of classes. This is how we make things better. If you went to a class and it wasn't what you expected, or you needed something different, or if it's something that's great and we should continue to do more of, please tell us. It helps a lot. Now, of course, we're surveying pediatric people, so everyone gives us all great scores all the time. You're all too nice to be critical. So the comments are also really, really helpful. So if you just have them in, I thought this was good, I thought that was good. When you do a survey for the opening remarks, just remember there's a D in handsome. That's all I need to tell you. CEU credits. We are pleased to be able to offer CEU credits through the AAPC. Courses eligible for CEU credit are noted as such in the schedule. In your welcome bag, you received a code card to write in the CEU number for the courses you attend. Remember, codes can only be given out during the class. Don't leave the room without getting your code. We cannot and won't give it to you later. For the people in here for whom this is important, that's a big deal. Everyone else, don't worry. Be sure to stop by and say hello to the exhibitors. And you had to walk through them. It's kind of like Vegas to get to the food. We have the pros folks from the AAP, Appleseed Solutions, Chattis, the Coker Group, Patient-Centered Solutions, Payment Pros, PEDS1, the Pediatric Management Institute, PracticeWell, the Verdant Group IPMSO. You'll find them all in the exhibit hall, and you'll find many of them sitting right here in this room as we speak. We have an open lab. For those of you who haven't attended before, this means that you can waltz down to a bunch of laptops and sit with someone from PCC and get very personalized attention. All right, and that open lab runs from 11:10 a.m., very specific, to 12:10, and 1:15 to 4:45. So if you came to the users conference with a burning need or desire that relates to PCC, we can answer that question, and we'd be glad to help you there. All right, second page of announcements. If you signed up for the account team dinners, we'll meet at the conference center lobby to board the shuttles at 5:15. Invitations were sent in advance to all in-person attendees as pre-registration was required. Please send an email to ucevents@pcc.com if you have any questions. Like if right now you don't know what I'm talking about, you can send a message to ucevents@pcc.com. As a courtesy to other attendees and our speakers, please be sure to put your cell phone on vibrate. We all know what it's like when you forget. So what's for lunch? Because this is incredibly important. As though you are leaving the building to go eat somewhere else if it's not what you want. We have minestrone soup, garden salad, quinoa salad, Tuscan chicken, sauteed beef tenderloin tips, primavera rice pilaf, roasted carrots, assorted desserts. But this is the important part. If you have dietary restrictions and or allergies and aren't sure about menu items or don't see items that will work for you, please check in with a DoubleTree team member. I have not spoken in front of an audience in a while. Forgive me. So, most of you know us pretty well. Some of you are, first-time attendees, but I really want to emphasize we are here to help. If there is something you need or want or you're confused by, if there's a question we can answer, please do not tell us a week from now when you got home, I wish I had just asked you X. This is the time to ask us. If there's something we can do, don't hesitate to stop by the PCC office. We now have an additional note that needs to be added to essentially every in-person webinar ever done. We trust that all PCC Users Conference attendees are respectful of current CDC and state of Vermont guidelines for preventing the spread of COVID-19, including vaccination and staying home if you are unwell. If you are feeling unwell on any day of the conference, we ask that you please remain in your hotel room or accommodation and email us at ucsupport@pcc.com. We have a supply of rapid antigen tests we can drop at your door. I do not want to be embarrassed by a spreader event of pediatricians. I don't want to be the EHR vendor that got a bunch of people sick. All right? I am going to ask you very briefly to get your phones and laptops ready. I'm not doing a survey. I just want you to get your calendar out and marked because we will officially be back in Vermont on the week of July 31st next week for this same event. I meant next year. So 1 year and 2 weeks from today, week and a half from today. I am going to tell you it is very, very different being up here than being on Zoom. Holy cow. All right, so I have about 10 minutes to give a 20-minute talk. So I'm going to blow through it really quickly. And I'm not going to blow through it. I just really wanted to spend a minute, first of all, to recognize what a long, difficult, and challenging 2.5 years it's been. This has been the weirdest and busiest time of my career, and I've been doing this for 30-something years. I'd like to recognize the people who aren't here, some of whom can't travel, some of whom are not with us anymore, friends, family, colleagues. We all have them. I'm fortunate to work for a company and in a business where our customers, generally speaking, are like the nicest people. It's just built into working with kids. So it's it's, I actually miss seeing some people. I can think of plenty of industries where I wouldn't miss people. But this isn't one of them. And so I'm glad to see everyone here. I want everyone to stay safe, and I really appreciate the effort that you did make to come here. Those of you who've done this before know how rewarding and how much you can get from being at the Users Conference. I did want to, I gave a talk at PMI because I hate to ask it this way, but how many people watched any of the videos that Paul Vincieri and I did during COVID? Okay, thank you. So a lot of you. So Paul and I don't even think he's here right now, is he? I mean, he's in the building, but he's probably drinking a coffee out in the parking lot. So during that process, Paul and I had to talk a lot, just briefly on the phone, like, hey, what's going on? What are you up to? And we were always trying to figure out what we needed to talk about next to try to bring some care and comfort to everyone who's in this room. What I realized in talking it through was that every one of our clients has gone through this crazy, crazy change. I don't know if you've realized it. And at first, I had this analogy in my head, and at first it seemed really ridiculous, but the more I thought about it, the more true it became. So I'm just going to ask if Suzanne Berman's in the room, just because she's the one who knows about this like I do. Oh, there she is. So forgive me, you've heard me talk about this. Don't fall asleep during the first talk of the Users Conference, please. So is anyone else besides Suzanne Berman familiar with Joseph Campbell's Myth of 1,000 Faces? Okay, this is so right now, you're like, for the couple people who know what I'm talking about, you're like, what is he going to talk about? But this is my executive summary, and I would maybe get a C in high school for this summary, okay? But Joseph Campbell was kind of like an anthropologist, historian in the 50s, and he wasn't the first, but he was the one who really popularized this idea of this constant myth that exists in almost every culture in the world. It's called the hero myth. And with the hero myth, there are a couple steps or stages that happen in each one of these hero myths. And I can't remember them all. Of course, if I had my notes up on the screen, I could seem like I'm smart. But it begins with a reluctant hero, someone who's at home, someone who is presented with a challenge and does not want to meet it, and then is forced to leave home and face these incredible challenges, defeats the monster, and returns home with usually like a magic formula or an elixir. Now, you're like, what is he talking about? Well, what I am talking about is The Wizard of Oz. What I am talking about is Star Wars. What I'm talking about is The Hobbit and Return of the King. All of these stories that actually end up being large, multi-billion-dollar franchises in the movies. It's Harry Potter. It's I'm sure I'm missing hundreds of these, and they exist in all these cultures. And I was thinking about it, and I'm like, wow, the concept of a reluctant hero really describes what the pediatricians have been doing for the last 2 years. Because for the first 6 months, for the first year of COVID, all I heard from everybody was, I just want to go back to the way it was. What can we do just to get back to normal? And I've stopped hearing that because we all know we're not getting back to normal. Actually, believe it or not, last night I had the weirdest little anxiety dream about, I can't even remember it now, but it was like me trying to get back to, because I guess I was going to give this talk, me trying to get back to normal. And so everyone reluctantly faced the monster. And with the help of some trusted guides, whether that's PCC or the AAP or your other colleagues, you did more than survive during COVID. You actually saved lives during COVID. Every single practice in here who gave a COVID vaccine saved a life. Just do the math. All right, maybe not, it's unlikely that you saved the life of the child you gave the vaccine to, but you probably saved that child's grandparent. You just don't know. Well, we won't know, but the math is unequivocal. And actually, Dr. Diazio and I are going to talk later about how many COVID vaccines PCC clients have given. It's awesome. And so you've returned home with some secrets. And the thing is, right now, you're like, well, I don't know if I returned home with some secrets. I don't feel any smarter or better. But I don't want to swear in the first class, but holy smokes. Think of how much different you are today than you were 2 years ago. How many people did their first massive vaccine clinics in the last 2 years? All right, how many people, can you imagine if we had a users conference in January or February of 2020 and I stood up here and said, hey, guess what? Within 2 months, half of your visits are going to be done using a methodology you've never tried before, telemedicine. You would have said, oh, give me a break. And it's now, even though it's now about 5 to 10% of the sick visits our clients do, it's just there. It's not going away. We would have, think about this. The E&M codes changed. The rules for the E&M codes changed on January 1st, 2021. All right? That's all we would have talked about for the next year and a half. We, at the opening class, would be like, oh my God, the E&M codes. We didn't talk about them at all. Think about how you've become better. Even though it's incredibly challenging, you become better at hiring people and employing people and pivoting on a dime and doing all of these things. You are stronger and better doctors and practices than you were 2 years ago. It's not even close. I can look at the data, because I look at all your data, and the way you performed during COVID was amazing. And you didn't think you had it in you. You were Bilbo Baggins, okay? You were Hermione Granger. You were Dorothy. You were Luke Skywalker. And pediatricians don't like thinking about themselves that way. But that's what makes the story fit so well. So I have to end here in a second. I just wanted you to slow down and actually, I will say thank you. Because without your work and the work of all of your peers and all of your other pediatrician colleagues, the U.S. would not have gotten back to work. We wouldn't have gone back to school. You were fundamental in the return to some normalcy in the United States. It's pediatricians. It's pediatricians and elementary school teachers. All right? Without them, we would all still be huddled up at home. So that's without you. And I'm addressing the pediatricians, but you also know I'm also addressing every single staff person in here because you showed up as well. The work you did saved lives, but you're just subtle about it. Anyway, we have, what's the, Aaron or Alex, or I don't know who knows, someone on the UC team, how many total people do we have attending in person? 270? And how many virtual?
220.
Yeah, 220. So we are, one of the things that we're doing this year is, and you can see there's a camera right there. I had to ask them, I'm like, does this mean I have to stand in between two spots? I can't walk around? Yes, I'm not allowed off the stage. So we're filming everything, and we are going to give it away. Because when we have speakers like Colleen Kraft, like Sandy Chung, I don't know if she's in the room right now, or I think Katrina walked in. When we have speakers like that, in addition to all of our other speakers and our homegrown speakers, we have content that we don't think is appropriate to be exclusive to just PCC clients. This is information, and this is understanding, and this is education that every independent pediatric practice needs. And so we want to share it with everyone. So if for some reason you can't attend one class, it's all in the app. You can watch it later, and we're going to put it on YouTube, and you can, and we encourage you, share it with friends. All right, so I feel like I forgot 5 things I was going to talk about. Well, whatever. I believe we have next, Scott, Scott Plouffe is going to walk everyone through what's new at PCC or what's been new at, I'll let him tell you what he's going to talk about, but it's what's new at PCC.